Hi, it's Beata from BA English Coaching and welcome to our next lesson. Today's lesson is all about the past. Well, past simple to be precise. And I'm really excited that I can share this knowledge with you. I know these days everything is about the now, the present moment and mindfulness. And yes, I totally understand it. Our focus should be on the now. But I also believe that the past is equally important. That without a past, you can't have a future. Do you agree? Well, let me explain. If you want to be better, you must learn. If you want to run, you must learn how to walk first. And if you want to have a better present and future, you must study the past, learn from it, understand it, and be confident with it. Don't you think? By the way, did you know that in English there are 6 different tenses to talk about the past? 6 grammatical past tenses. Most languages have only 1 or 2, like German, Italian, Spanish, Slovakian. So if you feel stuck in the past, in the past tenses, you need to look back and figure out what mistakes you make, what is not clear, what is confusing. There are so many lessons we can learn from the past, correct them, so we can improve our accuracy and fluency. Today, we will look at the first tense, past simple, as I said, and we will learn about the meaning, form, spelling, and pronunciation of the ending ed. Again, as with my previous lessons, it's all about you and your learning. And since I believe you learn by doing, you will be engaged, you will be asked to pause the video, complete the tasks, and answer my questions. So make sure you've got your learning diary ready. Grab a drink, make yourself comfortable, and we can start. Let's start with the number 1 mistake all learners of English make. Non-native speakers and native speakers including. So when English children start learning English, they make this mistake. They imitate adult speech, they figure out the rules, but then they overgeneralize or over-apply the rules. For example, they think that all verbs are regular and apply the ending ed to all verbs when they talk about the past. Both my daughters, when they were little, spoke like that. I often heard, "Mom, I hated it. Mom, she hated me. And we go to the park." The following joke illustrates this common mistake together with the meaning and form of the past simple tense. Pause the video now and complete the joke and think about this interesting phenomenon. So let's have a look if your answer is the same as mine.
I ate 7 cakes at my birthday party.
Don't you mean 8?
Okay, I ate 8 cakes at the party.
What did the teacher actually correct? What didn't the student understand? The student used the past form of eat, ate it. So the teacher corrected the form. But the irregular past form of eat is ate. And it is pronounced as the number 8. So the student then changed the number 7 to number 8, but kept the wrong form. As we can see, there can be problems with the forms of the regular and irregular verbs and pronunciation. But before we look at that, we will need to understand the meaning of the past simple first. Here is another task then. The situation is getting rather dramatic. It's about a crime. Read it first and then try and think of the uses of the past simple tense from the context. Have a look at the verbs in green and try to put them into 2 groups and explain the reason why you put them there. I want you to pause the video now and think of the answers. So when do we use past simple in English? When you want to talk about something that happened in the past. It is the normal past tense for talking about the past that is completed or finished. For example, I got home from work at 5 p.m. We listened to music. They lived in England for 10 years. I passed my exam last week. It often occurs with time expressions like these. Yesterday, last week, in 1995, a few weeks ago. And also, if you want to talk about past events, which were short, or they happened quickly, or they quickly finished, or they were repeated, or if you want to talk about storytelling. For example, Jack broke a window last night. He spent all his childhood in Scotland. One day, the prince decided that he didn't want to stay at home. We also use present simple for storytelling. So if you need to know the difference, you can always watch my video on present simple. I want you to take a moment now to think about this. Pause the video so you are 100% sure you understand the use of past simple. Before we look at the forms, I want you to answer my question. How do we form positive statements questions and negatives in the past simple tense. Have a think. But first things first. There are two groups of verbs, as we have discussed, regular and irregular. Some examples from the text. Regular verbs: watched, decided, talked, listened, arrived. Irregular: spent, got, ate, had, was, left, and went. Every good dictionary will tell you if a verb is regular or irregular. And every good grammar book will have a list of irregular verbs. And you will need to learn them. But the good news is that the past simple is the same in all persons, with the regular and irregular verbs. The only exception is the verb to be, but I will explain later. So the positive statements are formed by the subject and the correct form of the verb. I worked, you worked, he, she, it worked. I spent yesterday evening. I got home. I ate dinner. We had a cup of tea. We talked and listened to music. Questions are formed by auxiliary verb did plus subject plus infinitive. Did I work? Did you work? Did she work? Did you watch TV all evening? Did he see you? Did they have a problem with the car? Did it snow last night? When did you get home? And negatives are formed by subject plus did not or didn't plus infinitive. I did not work. You did not work yesterday. She didn't work. I didn't watch TV yesterday. He didn't see you. They didn't have a problem with the car. It didn't snow last night. Both regular verbs are made in the same way as those of irregular verbs. But please note and remember, we do not add ed to the verb in negatives and questions. And this is a common mistake. So you don't say, did you watched? Did you worked? It's wrong. And don't say, she didn't had. She didn't watched. She didn't ate. Please note. And the verb to be, it is irregular and the forms are a bit different. So with the subjects I, he, she, it, in the positive statement we use was. I was at home yesterday. She was with me. And in the subjects you, we, they, we use the form were. We were together. Negative forms are used plus not. So I, he, she, it wasn't. and you, we, they went. Questions? You swap the order. Was I at home? Was she with you? And with you, we, they, we use the form were. Were you together? Were you at work? Use your learning diary and a highlighter. Make a note of all this and try to understand it, so then you have the confidence to use it in your English. We will look at the spelling now. What happens when we add ed to infinitive? Have a think. Most regular verbs add ed. Worked, stayed, showed, wandered, visited. Verbs ending in e only add d. Hoped and decided. Verbs ending in consonant plus y, they change y to I and add ed. Hurried, cried, studied. But notice, if there is a vowel plus y, you only add ed. The same applies for plural nouns and the third person singular for present simple. So this rule with the consonant plus y and with the vowel plus y. Verbs ending in one stressed vowel plus one consonant, except for w or y, you double the consonant and add ed. Shopped, planned, referred, and regretted are some of the examples. What about the pronunciation of the infinitive ed? There are three ways of how we pronounce the final ending ed. Do you know when? Pause the video now and have a think. So the first group, the regular past ending ed is pronounced as d after vowels and voiced consonants, but except for d. Examples: tried, lived, used, and failed. T is pronounced after unvoiced consonants, except for t. Stopped, passed, laughed, watched, and worked. And the third group, id, is pronounced after d and t. In verbs, for example, ended, started, decided, and regretted. I hope it all makes more sense now. We've started with a crime story, so let's see how the story continues. The police are interviewing the young lady. Complete the questions and answers. Apply all the rules we have discussed during this lesson. Let's have a look at the interview. Did you watch TV all evening?
No, I didn't. I went to see my boyfriend.
Was it late when you went to see him?
I left home at 7 p.m.
And how long did you stay?
I stayed until about 11:30 p.m.
And when did you get home?
About 12:10.
And what did you do between 11:30 and 12?
I tried to get my car to start.
Did anyone see you fixing your car?
No, I don't think so.
Did you go straight home?
Yes, I did.
Well, young lady, you are in big trouble. Somebody saw your car outside the bank at 11:44. We spoke with your boyfriend. We know that you saw him, but you didn't leave at 11:30. You left at 11:15. You are under arrest.
But I didn't do it.
Did you answer all the questions and answers correctly? If not, have a look at it again and try to understand why you made the mistakes and learn from them. So we've come to the end of the lesson. And as with my previous lessons, I will give you some homework ideas. So number 1, as usual, Murphy book, study units on past simple. There is also a list of irregular verbs. Start with the most commonly used or the ones you will need in your active vocabulary and memorize them. Number 3, write a short anecdote about yourself and you can share it with us on my Facebook page. Number 4, expose yourself to English regularly. So every day about 10-15 minutes and focus on past tense, on the forms, pronunciation, spelling when you watch, listen or read. Did you like this lesson? Did you learn something new? Was it useful? Let me know in the comments below. Click the subscribe button so you know when my next lesson on the other past tense, for example, is out. Until then, take care and don't be the same, be better every day. And you can always start with your past.